Hello, and welcome to Somalabl, the podcast. My name is Wanda Karaoke, and I will be your host. Somalabl is a call to find ways to bring more awareness in our day-to-day in order to bring balanced and wholesome lives. Join us as we hear the personal journey of everyday people who are taking steps to bring more health, wellness, and joy to their lives. And now, here's today's episode. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice. The views expressed are solely those of the host and the guest featured. For any medical or nutritional advice, please contact your personal doctor or a medical professional.
A year after I'd had my daughter, I went for my annual checkup, and the doctor was like, do you want the good news or bad news first? I was like, okay, give me the bad news. And he's like, you're severely overweight. So you have two options. Either you lose 20 pounds in like 6 months.
So about like 10 kilos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you come back and we're doing a weight loss surgery. And I was like, and it would be in the same incision as my C-section. I was like, no. I'll do it on my own.
Yeah.
But then, of course, because I was still an active alcoholic, I cross-addicted to exercise. So I went gung-ho and I went from 100 kilos to 58 kilos in 4 months.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is. It was excessive. I was obsessed. It was obsessive. Georgina, I would carry a scale with me when I'd go to restaurants so that
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was obsessed.
Really?
And that wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
That was not healthy at all.
So what was going on in your mind? One end, you're fighting alcoholism, maybe not even fighting it, but I
was substituting.
So would they just kind of switch back and forth? Or how did that work? Because alcohol also makes you gain a lot of weight.
Yes.
Because it's a lot of empty calories.
Yes.
And you're also losing weight at the same time. And were you breastfeeding at this time or no?
So when I was breastfeeding, I wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
So I was actually sober.
Oh, because you said it was a year after.
Yeah.
Okay.
So throughout my pregnancy and the year after.
Okay.
And so I actually stopped drinking from 2009, January, until 2011, sometime in maybe October.
Okay.
I've been sober that stretch.
Yeah.
And I think this is where people get tricked, where you go like a year, a few months, even weeks without drinking, and you think, I'm good.
Yeah.
So I cross-addicted to exercise, which of course now was tricking my brain into thinking I'm good.
Yeah.
So when I pulled both my hamstrings and I was out for the count, I went back to drinking.
Okay.
And so
this period of losing the weight,
yeah.
What were you looking to for advice or guidance? Was it just one of those things, I need to eat less and work out like crazy? Were you following any program?
I followed a clinical diet, which was extremely, I don't even think they exist anymore. It was extremely
extreme.
Yeah, it was. Because I would go into their offices every day and be weighed. They were giving me B12 shots. I was buying their products, like Weight Watchers kind of products. I was buying their products. I was eating nothing. Like Georgina was having like an egg for breakfast with maybe like half a grapefruit. And that's even when I was eating fruits, because in the beginning I wasn't. I was eating imagine eating like 100 grams of tofu only. Like that's it, nothing else. I looked back at my FitnessPal because I was using it at the time to track my meals. I was eating between 500 and 600 calories a day.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. So I was ignoring all the hunger pangs. I was ignoring the headaches. I was ignoring all of that stuff because also I was going into their office every day for them to weigh me. They would give me B12 shots. And if I gained a pound in a day, then they would make me cut my food even more, because they were weighing me daily. So like I said, it was crazy. And I think things like this, excessive dieting and all of that stuff, if you're an addict or an alcoholic, it just feeds into your obsessive personality, which is really bad.
Yeah.
And it's not just even diet, even exercise feeds into our obsessive personality because of the dopamine hits that we're getting from, whether you've made a lift or you're running or whatever it is. If you, like I said, anything good can become an addiction.
Yeah.
Because of course anything bad can become an addiction as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the beginning of my weight loss journey.
Yeah.
That was actually the beginning of my weight loss journey.
So I'm curious because you mentioned how it was the visibility here in Kenya
Yeah.
changed and having people you were accountable to.
Yeah.
Do you think you had an unhealthy but similar relationship with your weight coaches or whoever? Because it just sounds like you went, I mean, the fact that you're carrying a scale to a restaurant. I mean, wait, was it like a weighing scale?
No, like a food scale.
Okay, I kind of do that sometimes. So I don't know if that's
I think you and I need to have a separate conversation about this.
A separate conversation. It's just sometimes when okay, we'll talk about that later. But I'm just wondering, like, to keep going back to these people who made you feel this way, but you kind of wanted to please them with the weight loss. Was that a thing or not at all? Like, did you feel like you needed to be good for them or prove something to them or no? What was that?
Ultimately, it goes back to the low self-esteem and goes back to the people-pleasing and the ego.
Yeah.
Because I can't say that it was them.
Yeah.
I had a really good coach at the time, really, really good. And he didn't know about my obsessive eating and even about my alcoholism. And neither did the weight loss company that I was working with at the time. But I think in order for me to be healthy physically, I had to be healthy mentally first. And that was the biggest hurdle. Because how do you curb obsessive thoughts? It's really difficult. You have to trade them with other healthy thoughts. So, and for me, the trade was running. And that's actually how I started. I started walking. I couldn't run. I was severely overweight now in 2017.
This is after your hamstring recovery?
This is not even after the hamstring recovery. Now we're back in 2017.
Okay.
I was severely overweight because now remember I'd gone back to drinking really heavily from 2011 continuously until 2017.
So after the 58 kilo drop,
I went back.
You started eating again, and that's when the drinking started again. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now at that point, it didn't matter what I did in the gym because I was eating unhealthy. I was drinking too much. I wasn't committing. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that I struggled with during my addiction is commitment to anything. I would never finish anything. I would start, but I'd never finish. Either fear of failure or just because I didn't want to. Yeah.
So the Aida who now is okay to even be alone, the one who's more mindful.
Yes.
Tell me that journey.
This has been a journey, and I think it's a continuous journey.
Yeah.
I can't say that I've reached where I want to be because that would just be boring. But this Aida, I don't obsess about if I wake up and have snacks for breakfast, which I did today, or if I don't eat healthy for a while. I'm not there like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna gain a kilo. I think because I've learned to love myself a lot more, I kind of accept how I am. And part of that, actually, that really helped me was Strongman. I'm not gonna lie, but it was Strongman. Yeah. Because Strongman allowed me to be big and strong without this, I need to be skinny kind of feel. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
What gave you peace? What did you love about it? Curious.
I think the thing about Strongman, and I feel like it empowers a lot of women, not necessarily women who are even overweight, but I think the reason it empowers a lot of us is because you're lifting stuff that most men can't lift.
Preach on, sister. Preach on.
I don't mean it badly.
Preach on.
But Georgina, it's nice when you go to the gym and you can lift a deadlift and the guys in the corner are looking at you and they're like, I can't lift that.
I'm sorry, yes, it's a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and I think for me, I needed that. I needed my soul to be wrapped in a lot of self-empowerment just for me to love myself.
Okay.
And Strongman changed that for me because Strongman, I did things I never thought I could do. You encouraged me to go and compete in Dubai.
Yeah.
I never thought I could do that.
Yeah.
But I think what Strongman gave me is it gave me something I started from beginning and I actually finished. And that was the biggest thing for me. I committed and I finished it.
Yeah. So how did you, because I know who you were coaching with, who was coaching you at that time.
Yeah.
And that was like the physical part. What about the nutrition part? Is that something that you feel like you already had under your belt, or you've talked about how before when you started the sobriety, the Somalabl aspect, which is reading labels, really understanding what's in there, that conscious sort of eating.
Yeah.
how did you handle that now that you actually needed to gain weight and do it in a healthy and consistent way?
So I think the thing about nutrition is, for me, was self-awareness and self-education. I needed to read up on the things that my body, that were good for my body, to feed my body. Of course, a lot of this is also from experimentation and figuring out what your body likes, but reading up on other powerlifters and strong women and what they ate, and not necessarily bulking with pizza and burgers, but more of bulking with healthy stuff, like eating butternut squash and, I'm sorry, chicken, but I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. But however, my trainer at the time actually made me have a full veg day. So I was eating tofu twice a week, actually. I was eating tofu and veg and all that stuff. I wasn't having any meat products for 2 days, which I enjoyed. It made me feel lighter and all of that. But ultimately, that's how I did my nutrition. It was research. Everything is out there. You can read up on everything. And I think in Kenya, because our food is a lot healthier, it made it easier for me.
To sort of transition that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so tell me about the competition in strongman, because that was like the end of something that you first found yourself committing to, right? What was that like mentally, emotionally, physically?
It was hard.
Yeah.
You know, competition is emotionally, mentally, physically, financially draining.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time, I was, so I started training when I was like 69 kilos, 70 kilos. And I'd started at 147 deadlift, right? 147 kilo deadlift. And I didn't even want to compete. But then the guys at the gym were like, "Oh, you're strong." And I was like, "Whoa." They're like, "You're strong, you should compete." And you know, the fear of competing and failing was stronger for me than actually just the enjoyment of competing. So for a long time, I was seeking approval from my trainer. I'm like, "Should I compete?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Should I compete?" I just needed someone to bembeleza me, to tell me, just do it. And so he was like, "Listen, let's train as if you're going to compete. We'll go to the qualifiers. And if you want to continue, now this is Kenya's strongest. He's like, if you want to continue to the finals, we'll continue." So I was like, okay, I like this approach. And I went to Mombasa for the qualifiers. And I went there not knowing what was going to happen. I went there feeling completely out of my element.
First competition ever though, right?
First competition ever. And I had so much fun. And actually, a lot of the judges are my friends now, because they were like, "Yeah, you know, you were just so goofy." That's just me. But also, I think I was nervous. So I was trying to make light of everything that was going on. But I really, really enjoyed it. So that was the beginning of that. And then Kenya's Strongest, of course, I didn't win, which I think a part of me knew that, but it kind of crushed me. And at that point, I was like, man, I didn't win, so I'm done. And then you came along and you were like, "Well, you know, you should just go and do Dubai." And I was like, "Huh? What are you talking about?" Can't afford to go to Dubai. And you were like, "Just do it." And I was like, "Huh?" And once you planted that seed, I was like, damn that, Georgina. Now I can't think about anything else
but Dubai. But let's go back to that loss. And what was different about how you handled that loss, that Aida versus the pre-sober Aida? What made the difference?
I was sober. I had a support system. I had my gym family, I had my family, and then I had my sober family. And so I literally I went to a meeting and I shared about that I had lost in this. And I think also at that time, and this is really important, at that time, my stepmom had been diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was one of my biggest supporters in my sobriety. And I went and I shared with her, but she was so proud. She was telling all her friends about how strong I was. And I was like, okay, maybe. And you know, I was still in that maybe phase. Even when we were raising money, I was still in the maybe phase. But I think that loss, being surrounded with the positive energy, and I think also mentally myself, I was in a better state. It helped me deal.
So one of the things we're hoping to achieve with this podcast is to like give people a sense of entry points.
Yeah.
Wherever they are in their journey.
Yeah.
You know, and if you think about maybe like one, I don't want to say advice or tip or
Yeah.
heartfelt share, like if somebody came up to you and said, you know, this is where I am.
Yeah.
How do I start living mindfully? What kind of advice? What would you tell somebody like that who just wants to? They could be anywhere. They could be in the, you know, they've started competing.
Yeah.
They could be in the stage where they're just in their starting the sobriety or whatever, because mindfulness looks different for different people.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone?
I would say start even smaller.
Yeah.
Be mindful about when you wake up, what's the first thing you do? Start there. And that anyone can do that. Because a lot of the times, I don't think people realize when you wake up, the first thing most people do is they look at their phone, right? I know you do that.
I'm trying not to.
But instead, why not wake up and based on your religion or spirituality, say a small prayer, say a thank you, do a gratitude list, have a glass of water, brush your teeth, do something mindful before you reach for your phone or turn on the TV or open your laptop and all of that. And I think that that is where anybody can start, regardless of your age, your religion, your what's it called? Your profession, start there. Whether you go to the gym or not, that is a different thing. If you want to start being mindful, start with the small things. What do you do before you go to bed? Most people probably watch TV until they go to bed and then switch off their phones and go to bed, if they even switch off their phones. But why not, like I said, you could do a gratitude list. What are you grateful for that has happened today? And for the people who are maybe in the beginning of their sobriety, start your day with writing, the things you're grateful for. And the first thing on your list is that you're sober another day. I think sometimes we look at being mindful as such a big thing. It's not. It's very simple, but we always start too big. And when you start too big, you fail. And I think that's where people lose this momentum or even faith, even hope that they can do something better, whether it's today or tomorrow, whatever it is, because you're already looking at the white picket fence that you want to build in 20 years, and yet you've not even started now. So start now.
Yeah.
Wake up, have a glass of water, don't look at your phone, go for a walk. Like if you're struggling to get back in the gym, I know I'm going to struggle when I go back. So like now I really need to focus on getting in my steps. I need to just get up and get out of the door and do my steps. And if I can't, I can do a dance video in my living room. I can run around with my dogs. But this mentality of all or nothing, for me, it didn't work. And I think for most people, if you start that way, you're setting yourself up for failure. Yeah.
Okay. What are you grateful for as we close down?
Wow. I am grateful to be sober. Let me tell you that, Georgina, I am grateful to be sober, because if I wasn't, I would not be here. And that is the one thing I wake up every day saying, I am grateful to be sober.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of people around me who are struggling with their drinking, not in my family, but just even people who reach out to me and are like, hey, I'm struggling. I'm not a professional. All I can do is share my experience, strength, and hope that somebody else can use that to help them get out of where they are. But I am grateful today. I'm grateful for you guys.
Oh, we're grateful for you though.
For having me.
Yeah.
I'm super grateful. Thank you for giving me the platform to share something that's near and dear to me. And I think something that a lot of people struggle with and are afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
The fitness community, has been really good to me. And so I'm grateful for that side as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely grateful for you in so many ways. I reached out to you to like pray for my family when I was like, whatever angels are helping you through sobriety, please send them to my people.
Yeah.
And I'm just very grateful that you've allowed us to see through this journey and be a part of it in whatever context this is. And I know that it'll touch and change lives. So I'm excited for that. And thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Georgina.
Yeah. I am so glad you joined us for today's conversation. Every time I have the privilege of listening to one of our guests share their story, there's always a lesson or message that just touches me. And I hope this is true for you too. And if you can find a friend, or maybe two, who you can share this episode with, please do. It'll help us grow our conscious living community. We would also love to stay connected with you and hear from you. Reach out to us on socials on our handle, Somalabl, Somalabl. Once again, thank you, and we can't wait to see you again on our next Somalabl episode. Goodbye.